Hello viewers and welcome to my blog for the Belgian Grand Prix 2013. Then we've had the summer break and now it's back to action with the Formula 1 now rolling on right to the end of the season. Spa then, one of my favourite circuits, one of many racing drivers and racing fans' favourite circuits. It's seen some great races over the years. Of course, they show the crash from '98. Of course, Damon Hill went on to win that race at the time. And they show some of the action when Mika Hakkinen was overtaking, was it Ricardo Zonta, I think it was, when he was going past Michael Schumacher. What a moment that was as well. Great moments over the years. And what's great about this racetrack, it has a range of corners, it has a lot of undulation, it has a range of weather systems that go over it, and I always say every lap's a journey, a bit like Hockenheim used to be, tracks that just go off into the distance, and it really does feel like you're going on an adventure in every lap. On to qualifying, and it really took off. You had those different weather conditions, you had the wet part and the dry part, something you don't see so much on the modern tracks because of the way they're designed, but good action all the way throughout the field. We saw the decisions made by Marussia and, of course, Caterham in getting their guys through to Quali 2. That was great. It was great to see a bit more action. So that qualifying one wasn't, or the first part of qualifying wasn't just the standard guys out all the time. So it added a bit of action there. And it showed some of the teams that sort of weren't thinking on their feet, as it were. Of course, towards the end of the qualifying session, it really came down to who were the last people going across the line that really performed well. The Mercedes have been strong all through quali, but of course, Lewis was the last man across the line and did very well. He got himself pole position, in very tricky conditions, and it just all worked out perfectly for him. Roll on the race. Hungary, Lewis was able to keep the lead. This is a very different circuit. It's very difficult keeping people behind you. And we certainly didn't know how the tyres were going to be performing. So on to the first lap then. And we see Jenson Button, great start from him. Mark Webber, fortunately poor start, having problem with a biting point on his clutch. Interesting, isn't it? It seems to happen to Mark and not to Sebastian Vettel. I say that so many times throughout the year, but there's always something going on with Mark's car. It just doesn't seem to affect Sebastian. It's just one of those things, I guess. Alonso as well, great start from him, and of course Vettel quickly taking lead after just going up Eau Rouge, getting a good run, and that was it for him, wasn't it? He just went off for the day. It was easy, and unfortunately the usual weather conditions that come into play didn't happen on this occasion. So he was gone, off in the lead, and of course then we had action throughout the field. Of course we had the brake dust coming out for Kimi constantly. That never looked good from the start. It looked like it was always going to end in tears. Seemed to be some kind of issue there ever since the start of the race. We saw the penalty for Perez for passing Grosjean and then pushing him off the track. Quite a strange incident. I don't know why Sergio felt the need to do that. He was already passed. There was no way Grosjean was going to come around the outside. Seemed a bit silly as a move, really. And I think after that GP crash we saw, moving across onto another car can be disastrous. So at the end of the day, that was a penalty, similar to what Grosjean got in Hungary. Fair enough. Destroyed his own race, really. That was a real shame for him. Jenson Button started well, very quick, those first few corners, but then settled into his pace, looking for a one-stop strategy. Didn't work out for him, and unfortunately they didn't maximise the two-stop strategy because of when he stopped. So despite a late stop and gaining a lot of time on the cars in front, he wasn't able to maximise that strategy. Of course, we had the incident from Pastor Maldonado. No, he actually made the mistake a few corners beforehand. Those of you watching will have seen he was sideways on the curb, just about keeping it together. Of course, then he got overtaken. Very strange. It was almost as if he turned into Adrian Sutil, tried to block him in some way, broke his front wing, and then thought, I'm going to go to the pits, and just seemingly forgot that there were other cars around him. Then got out of the car and said, I was going to the pits. And you think to yourself, well, he was on the wrong side for a start. And in that situation, wouldn't it have been better to have just slowed down rather than taking another car out? Quite a cynical move from Pastor. It's one of those moves where you just feel he just doesn't care. He just does it. I'm at the back. I don't care. And it really seems to affect his emotional point of view. And in the end, these incidents happen. So a penalty for him, but a great shame for Paul di Resta. Paul di Resta, we really hoped he was going to get that pole position. It'd have been nice for him. The guy's driven really well. He deserves a better car, really. And I hope that with all the moving around, at some point, somebody finds some space for him. Clearly, there's going to be some moves in the next few months. Talking of which, some people are saying that Daniel Ricciardo, Mark Webber came out and said it. Eddie Jordan on the BBC was saying that Daniel Ricciardo is definitely in for that Red Bull drive, that he's signed the contract already. We'll just have to wait and see on that one. It seems that there are two forces at work in Red Bull. You've got some people that really want him and some people that perhaps don't, want Kimi instead. So certainly they're having to work it out internally before the answer officially comes out and is made public for everyone. So Kimi, unfortunately, retiring. That's the end of his race run. Apparently 48 races, they were saying. The longest points run. No, I don't compare it to Michael Schumacher's, because for the majority of Michael Schumacher's career he was in a 1 to 6 point category. But either way, it's another statistic. Shame for Kimi, but it's just one of those days. He was pushing the car very hard all weekend, I noticed, riding a lot of curbs. So I don't think he did the car any good. I think he's just pushing it to see its maximum. If he's going to win the championship, he needs to do that, and clearly the car's simply not giving him the performance he needs. So a win for Vettel, very easy. Second place for Fernando Alonso, much improved Ferrari. Shame about the qualifying. Qualifying just let the team down. And unfortunately, Fernando, despite pushing very hard, just wasn't able to close that gap. But the potential is there, and we'll find out how they get on at Monza. And then other than that, obviously we had Lewis Hamilton in third place. I think he maximised his performance today. I don't think there was any more he could get out of the Mercedes. He seems much happier in himself. That's a good thing. And we look forward to seeing his performance improving as well. And Rosberg and Webber and Button coming in. Jensen, I think, perhaps a little bit disappointed. He thought this was a key track for McLaren. But either way, it's good to see the car improving. But that's it for this very brief Spa blog. I'm going to crack on now with some more Gamescom videos, F1 2013 videos to follow, and there'll be more from me very soon.